Okay, so my name is Isaac Nelson, and I will be going over Zero Trust architecture. So the agenda, here it is. I won't really go over this. You can pause this and look it over. Zero Trust architecture. So understanding the benefits of the Zero Trust architecture allows system, network, and security administrators to implement policies that provide proactive measures against threats. By reducing their reliance on an inherent trust network philosophy, there is a considerable reduction in the surface exposed on the overall network's threat vector assessment. Such procedures as adopting single sign-on and proactive threat reduction increase the overall reliability of the network and infrastructure. So defining traditional network infrastructure, as you can see in the image here, the traditional network infrastructure is the basis of a network design. The original networks were designed and established from the very basics of what is known as a client, a series of switches that are interconnected, and the routers that provide the networking functionality. Okay, so for traditional network infrastructures, the connections on the network are physical, right? The tether of the physical connection centralizes the network through cable connections, albeit cat-cord cable, fiber optic cable, or coaxial cable. Traditional networks design exist at some level in different organizations. So most organizations will have some level of a traditional network infrastructure aspects of it. Software design networks is a network architecture that takes the traditional network architecture and redefines how the network can be managed and operated. SDN takes the needs of physical hardware for certain aspects of the network and then virtualizes them. The SDN takes the rigidness of the traditional network infrastructure and provides the suppleness of virtualization and speed of services for the user. SOHO, right? Small office, home office. The SOHO network concept is an effective way for almost anyone to have the ability to take their work home with them. A commonality for many organizations across the world came recently as teleworking made a large uptick due to how the pandemic affected how businesses operated in conjunction with the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The requirements for establishing a SOHO in your home are laid foundationally with the devices that are incorporated into the network itself. This includes security at the router or at the device itself. So the devices on the network, as you see from the image, there's personal devices, smartphones, your laptop, and they are connected to the switch, right? Usually through Cat5. And then the switch is connected to the router, right? And you can have a tier 3 router there, and then that can be connected to a server or a Wi-Fi router to allow for wireless connections. And then all feeds to the internet, or an ISP. CII, Triad, and security. A major development in how we can operate our network is to look outwards to ensure that we can find a way to better provide services for our customers. The IT department has an understanding where confidentiality, integrity, and availability are developed for the user's experience. The confidentiality, integrity, and availability triad is at its core the foundation for security systems that must be developed for the network of an organization. Data must be kept safe, true, and accessible always. Cloud computing. So cloud infrastructures are designed to ensure that much of the difficulties that tie up an organization stay at the bottom of the list of concerns, whether that be the infrastructure itself, the platforms that you're working off of. That includes operating systems, applications that need to be built out to ensure that the organization can accomplish its tasks, even desktop. So desktop as a service is included in that, where you have a virtual desktop that is hosted by a vendor versus you having an actual desktop on your device. So cloud computing is moving away from the organization owning all the infrastructure and the eaches of the network, and then offloading that to a vendor. So the vendor, you're paying for what you get essentially, and so the vendor hosts all infrastructure, platform, software, the desktop, and you're paying for that data or paying for those services. So ZTA and a model using Zero Trust is the basis for a network architecture. The Zero Trust architecture improves the network security and defense preparations for cybersecurity personnel by incorporating an explicit lack of trust across the physical and logical network. Outline Executive Order 14028, the President of the United States of America increased the importance of ZTA implementation to address the rising security concerns throughout private and public sector networks. Through the development of a ZTA network, system and network engineers account for there being no implicit trust to ensure that there is accurate reporting, accountability, and auditing. With the internet and home office capabilities expanding to allow more to work from a remote location, ZTA aims to protect assets within a specified area of responsibility. While supporting multiple network topologies, technologies, and designs, such as cloud-based services, the Internet of Things, and mobile devices, ZTA allows for continuous operations and availability while observing a trust but verify approach. So why ZTA, right? Well, the network can be monitored more precisely than a traditional network. The usage of security information and event management systems allow for better monitoring of what's going on in the network, what traffic is incoming and outgoing, and it also takes the network and is able to monetize it to make sure that if there are any upticks or downticks, that stuff is monitored and allows the cybersecurity team to be able to investigate on those issues. Right? CIA Triad is upheld and enforced through Zero Trust. Users are held accountable, kept secure, and receive available resources through authentication. There's less vulnerability through micro-segmentation and compartmentalization of the network. Least privilege, less access. You're allowed to be on the network to do what you need to do, and you're not given additional access to look around, essentially. Incorporation of a ZTA requires that there must be accountability for all users, data, devices, platforms, software, and applications that are utilized on the network. Onboarding and offboarding allows for the ability for network managers to look at the network holistically, see where the gaps are, and ensure that logging for users, logging for devices is kept close hold. ZTA is aimed to build upon a traditional network and take network security gaps that are identified, provide a refined solution based on validation to create a more well-defined and secure network architecture. You use ZTA and it builds off of traditional network. You can start at a traditional network infrastructure and build to a Zero Trust architecture. Doesn't mean that you have to get away from tethered networks and cabling, but the uptick in software-defined networks and virtualization and offboarding to cloud computing, incorporating the security protocols that are necessary in a Zero Trust architecture allows for a better experience not only for the user but for the management. Thank you.